there has been a trade for the #1 overall pick, the Carolina Panthers and the Chicago Bears making a deal.
And for the Chicago Bears, come away with 2 1s, 2 2s, and a new #1 wide receiver, DJ Moore.
Do you think they gave up too much?
Who are the Panthers going to get then?
Is there anyone that you look at right now, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, say that dude is going to be the guy?
It's Bryce or CJ in my mind.
Yep.
Probably Bryce. Yeah.
The height's not the biggest issue for me. The fact that he's 185 pounds.
It sounds to me like you would take Stroud.
I would, and I believe he's going to be the pick.
Yeah, Will Levis is a really interesting guy.
Anthony Richardson, he's just a raw, unfinished product.
With the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select
Was trading up for the first overall pick in the draft really worth it for the Panthers? Finally, I'm back with an NFL video for the first time in a while, and that's because the draft is finally here. This year's top of the draft is a little unusual because usually the worst team in the NFL that ends up with the #1 pick is probably that bad because they need a quarterback. Some might argue that the Bears still don't have a good quarterback, but I'm more inclined to give Fields some time. Some teams are unlucky and are just bad in the wrong season where there isn't a great QB prospect. That's not the case this year. Teams got QB prospects to choose from at the top with Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, and Will Levis. So since the Bears weren't planning on taking a quarterback and there's so many teams in the NFL fiending for one, they had to trade down to get the full value out of their pick. And boy, did they get that value. From the Panthers, they got Carolina's 9th overall pick along with their 2nd round pick this year at 61st overall, their 1st round pick next year, and a 2025 2nd round pick. All to go along with a guaranteed stud of a wide receiver, DJ Moore. It's a lot to give up for one player for the Panthers, but hypothetically, you're getting yourself the best player in the draft, if you do it right. Now, first overall picks don't get traded often, but they've changed hands before. The last time it happened was back in 2016 when my Rams traded up to #1 for the right to draft Jared Goff. Titans also gave them 113th and 177th, and 113 was then traded for 117 and 206. Those picks turned into one-time Pro Bowl return man Pharaoh Cooper, tight end Temerick Hemingway, who never caught a ball in a Rams uniform, and wide receiver Mike Thomas. No, not that one, I wish. For those guys, the Rams handed over 15th overall, 2 seconds, 43rd and 45th, 76th overall, along with a 1st round pick and a 3rd round pick in the next year's draft. Stay with me here. That 15th overall pick was packaged with 76 and a 2nd in 2017 to get up to 8th overall and a 6th rounder. That 6th rounder turned into 157 and 253. The Rams' 2017 first was, because they suck so bad, 5th overall, and the 3rd rounder was 100. Did you get all that? Because that was the first take, and I ain't saying all that again. All those picks turned into solid tackle Jack Conklin, a backup nose tackle Austin Jackson, superstar running back Derrick Henry, backup DBs LaShawn Sims and Kalen Reed, and 2 quality offensive weapons Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith. Titans might not have fully capitalized on the trade, but definitely got more value than the Rams did. Using Pro Football Reference's approximate value measurement, which isn't perfect but a good way to showcase the value each team got out of this trade, 3 Rams players total a value of 54 in their time with the Rams. 53 of those coming from Jared Goff. On the other hand, the Titans got 154. In other words, the Rams got fleeced. But one lopsided trade doesn't completely determine the futures of franchises, does it? Before this trade, it hadn't happened for 12 years. Well, technically 15, but I'm counting the Eli Manning trade, even though the Chargers did draft him before dealing him. Look at that face. Doesn't he look so happy to be there? The Chargers drafted him into a hostage situation because he already said he didn't want to play for them, but they drafted him anyway to make sure the Giants had to trade a lot more to get him. The Giants had to give up #4 and 65 overall in 2004, a 2005 first, which became #12, and a future 5th rounder, which was later traded for offensive tackle Roman Oben, all to save Eli from San Diego. 4th overall in 2004, Chargers got their franchise quarterback in Phillip Rivers. 65th became 8-year Charger and 2-time Pro Bowl kicker Nate Kading, and with the 2005 first, took 3-time Pro Bowler Sean Merriman. The Chargers haul netted them an approximate value of 285, while Eli's career only managed 169. Even Rivers alone passes Eli. Chargers essentially got the better quarterback, plus 2 Pro Bowlers, and a solid offensive tackle. And yet, Manning's the one that went home with 2 Lombardis. Like I said, one trade doesn't necessarily determine the winner in the long run as a team. Plus, the Chargers are just a cursed franchise. They've been a dumpster fire for so long, they also had the top pick 3 years before in the 2001 draft, where the top prospect was a guy by the name of Michael Vick. The electric Vick was wanted by many teams, so the Falcons had to give up a lot just to get from 5th overall to 1st. They packaged 4th-year wide receiver Tim Dwight, 5th overall and 67th overall, plus a future 2nd rounder that ended up at number 48 the next year. That pick was used on wide receiver Retchie Caldwell, and that 67th overall from 2001 was used on a short-lived corner Tate Cody. But the real prize of this haul was that 5th overall pick. 6-time All-Pro and future league MVP, LaDainian Tomlinson. The trade started out looking like it was worth it for the Falcons, getting their franchise quarterback before he got put in the doghouse. The value heavily goes again to the team that traded away the pick, with the Chargers haul getting 177 AV to 68 from Vick with the Falcons. The reason they passed on Vick in the first place was to draft Breeze in the 2nd round because they thought he was a better prospect. In the long run, they weren't wrong, but Breeze didn't turn into the future Hall of Famer he is today until he got up out of San Diego and into New Orleans. Like I said, first franchise. The NFL went trade crazy with the 1st overall pick in the 90s, getting traded 4 times in 10 years. In fact, back-to-back in 90 and 91. First, the Colts traded their Pro Bowl tackle Chris Hinton, rookie stud wide receiver and future 5-time Pro Bowler Andre Rison, 121 overall, and their first in 1991 for the number 1 pick and number 83. Along with straight up getting 2 players that would make all-pro teams for them, the Falcons got tackle Reggie Redding and wide receiver Mike Pritchard from the picks. The Colts traded all of that for one of the more disappointing 1st overall QBs of all time, Jeff George, and a dude named Stacy that only played 1 year in the league, losing the value battle 112 to 22. They lost so bad they traded George to the Falcons after 4 years, where he put up a higher value in 35 games in Atlanta than he did in 52 in Indianapolis. 1991 was weird, because even though the Cowboys traded up for the 1st pick from the Patriots, they didn't get to choose who they wanted. You heard that right. At the time of the trade, the number 1 prospect in the country was Notre Dame wide receiver Rahib Rocket Ismail. But he decided to sign with the CFL straight out of college. You might be wondering, why the hell would he do that? It was because the Toronto Argonauts offered him a 4-year, $18.2 million contract, an average of $4.55 per year. The highest paid player in the NFL at the time? Joe Montana at $3.25 million per year. So the Cowboys shipped out 11th and 41st overall, which became tackle Pat Harlow and defensive back Jerome Henderson, plus corner Ron Francis and linebackers David Howard and Eugene Lockhart Jr., for a player they weren't even originally planning on, defensive tackle Russell Maryland. Not all that disastrous in the grand scheme of things, losing on value to the Pats 50 to 36, and Russell Maryland ended up with 3 rings in Dallas, so I don't think the Cowboys care all that much. That dude Ishmael was so good, by the way, the Raiders still drafted him in the 4th round just in case he came back to the NFL, so that they would have his rights. And he actually did. He was a little disappointing in silver and black, but it all came full circle when he ended up in Dallas in 1999 and put up a 1,000-yard season. The 1995 trade from the Panthers to the Bengals might be the worst of them all because neither team really came out of it with a good value. Panthers got the 5th and 36th pick in return and took journeyman quarterback Kerry Collins and backup defensive end Sean King, who together only produced 28 approximate value for the team. The trade could look like an absolute robbery for the Bengals if their number 1 selection that year, running back Ki-Jana Carter, didn't tear his knee in his first preseason game. He was never the same after the injury and became, unfortunately, one of the draft's biggest all-time busts. In 1997, the only time in recent NFL history where trading up for the number 1 overall pick might have paid off, the Rams shipped out their 6th overall pick along with a 3rd, 4th, and a 7th to go up to number 1 and select future Hall of Fame offensive tackle Orlando Pace, who would, in 2 years in 1999, help them to their first Super Bowl win. The Jets, who had that pick, turned that 1 pick into 7 picks and another player, Ronnie Dixon. The 6th pick turned into 8 and 104, and 67th turned into 88, 191, 229, and 183 the following year. With that haul, they picked up linebacker James Ferrier, who made Pro Bowls but not till he got to Pittsburgh, wide receiver Dedrick Ward, backup running back Leon Johnson, defensive tackle Jason Ferguson, who was somehow their most valuable piece out of this trade as a 7th round pick, and 3 guys who only got to play 1 game each in their entire careers. Those 8 combined don't come close to Pace's 121 value for the Rams. All the Jets had to do, though, was stay put at 6 and pick Walter Jones, another Hall of Fame offensive tackle, to get their value from the trade. But there's a reason why the Jets are historically the worst team at drafting. But historically, outside of Pace, trading up for the 1st overall pick hasn't panned out most times teams have done it. I mean, if the worst team in the league isn't so sold on the best player in the draft that they're willing to trade the pick, that player probably isn't so much a guaranteed superstar as other years. I mean, like, I don't think the Colts ever thought about trading the pick in 1998 or 2012. So the Panthers giving up 4 picks in the first 2 rounds, plus a wide receiver who already has put up 1,000 yards 3 times at 26 years old, Odds not looking good for them to get their value out of this trade. This trade could be one of the most lopsided in NFL history for the Bears and could jumpstart the franchise if they hit on these picks. But like we saw with Orlando Pace, all it takes is picking the right guy at the top to make it all worth it for Carolina. If the Colts took Junior Seau in 1990, Cowboys took Herman Moore in 91, Bengals took Warren Sapp in 95, and Vick never held dogfights, those trades would have all been worth it. So all Bryce Young has to do is become a Hall of Famer. No pressure. And no pressure on you guys, but if you enjoyed this video, maybe hit that like button, leave me a comment down below. It really helps out with the algorithm, gets this video out to more people, and I would really appreciate it. And if you like this video, maybe check out some more of my content on my channel. And if you like that content, maybe hit that subscribe button, get more content from me in the future. Anyways though, that's gonna be the end of the video, and I'm looking forward to the draft because I'm recording this beforehand, but by the time this comes out, it's probably past the first day at least. Yeah. Anyways, later guys.